What is psychology?
Oh my god, like talk to me 5 minutes and tell what's my problem. Honey, that doesn't work like that. It's definitely like interesting how people assume like what psychology is in general. And it's definitely wrong that psychology could be like, I think even if you're gonna dedicate your whole life into like learning psychology, even one area like specific, like let's say clinical psychology, there's gonna be always more and more to learn.
I feel with psychology, it's a lot of application to life. Like I feel like even with the case studies that are like really in depth and very specific, still I feel they're like, oh, so this is why this is happening.
A little hands-on.
I think in Kazakhstan there's like a lot of man culture where men have to pose as this kind of strong and independent figure.
What is a definitive definition for happiness?
Yeah, Mr. Lawrence is indeed great. I miss his classes a lot.
Do you feel like you studying psychology made you like overanalyze your own actions, thoughts, behaviors?
And what are the kind of possible applications of positive psychology?
Watching online videos or just courses and believe that they can become a psychologist?
Oh.
What do you think about that?
Like, I wish every parent would have some background in development psychology before, having a kid.
What is psychology at Stanford like?
One thing that I learned from the lecture is like literally there's a statistics about how each Celsius degree the planet gets hotter, the aggression rate also increases for a certain extent.
Hello everyone,
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Haileybury Connect podcast. My name is Ilyana.
My name is Cass.
I'm a year 13 student. I take biology, psychology, and chemistry.
And I take biology, geography, and psychology.
And today we have a very special guest, Alikhan.
And I'm a rising sophomore at Stanford University studying bio and psych and CS.
Okay, so to begin, what is psychology?
Oh, that's like definitely an interesting question. But I'd say like proper definition of psychology is a study of human behavior and mind. And I would say like in different contexts and settings. So yeah, it is very much applicable to who we are, because essentially we are all just human beings existing in society, and psychology exactly studies that.
Mm-hmm. And if you had to sell psychology to someone to take it as a subject, how would you do it?
I'd probably say it's definitely something that affects everyone, including you and people you love. In the future, it's going to be also like, your kids and every work industry, be it either academia or just like corporate job. I think psychology is like so applicable to everything and anything, like PR, HR, and everyday life, marketing. Yeah.
Following up from that, what's like a fact that you've learned studying psychology that was like shocking to you?
I think like psychology is not something that shocks you usually. I think it's something that just opens your eye and you're gonna be like, how did I not think about something from that angle?
Mm-hmm. What's something that like clicked for you when learning it?
Oof, I would say, okay, so basically psychology is like really a huge umbrella term. It's, as I said, human behavior and mind, and obviously we exist in settings, so like it changes. Sometimes you're the one who initiates the behavior and your emotions and feelings, and sometimes it's affected by the environment you are in and your genes. And there's obviously like, so many branches within psychology, like clinical psychology, abnormal, which is similar to that, consumer, and my favorite is probably positive psychology, which is like really kind of new. Apart from cultural psychology, which is like also one of my favorite ones. But positive psychology is something that has been against the move of like negative things in psychology. Obviously, psychology kind of started as it's a psychology of abnormality. So like when something is wrong with you, like that's, psychology kind of studies that, like depression, anxiety, PTSD, or any other mental disorder that affects us in our everyday life and our loved ones. So positive psychology, on the other hand, does exactly the opposite. It studies what makes people happy. So like what is happiness, it defines it, and then just tells you about the things that kind of makes you happy. And one of the things was it's it's like spending money on others, not on yourself and like experiences. So like, buying a good may last for a couple of years, but like experience that's like, 2 hours long, like sitting in a cafe and just talking to your besties, that's gonna make you way happier than like buying I don't know, another Zara, I don't know, clothing or something. So just realizing that kind of made me aware of things that just surrounds me all the time, and now I have a scientific reasoning behind. So yeah.
So you mentioned it's the study of happiness, and I was just thinking, what is a definitive definition for happiness? I'm not sure I could answer that.
So like obviously, in order to call it science, you should be able to study it. And I think as a scientist or like psychologist or society, we try to define everything, which is kind of not a good thing, because like, why would you define something that's so cannot be inherently defined? So like my level of happiness is going to be like different how you would define happiness. And there's no kind of correct meaning of happiness, because different from person to person. And like when I say I'm happy out of like 10 out of 10, that's going to be like maybe you're 3 out of 10, right? But scientists define it as two meanings. So like the hedonics, which is just joy, like feeling happy at the moment, which basically lasts like short term kind of time. And eudaimonics, which is basically kind of meaning, purpose. For example, I think there's like a study where people just like got surveyed on different things that brings them happiness or like unhappiness. So like, for example, cleaning a toilet and then taking care of baby. And they rated that like taking care of baby in everyday life is like brings the same like joy level as cleaning a toilet. But also on the other hand, like having a baby would kind of give you another meaning in your life. So
So do you think there is a lot of overlap between studying happiness in psychology and philosophy?
I would say for sure. I think inherently what all of it does is like, study mind. So like neuroscience / biology, psychology, philosophy, all of them studies mind to some extent. The only difference is like the tools you're using. So psychology is like in between, I would say, philosophy and biology, where biology is like pure substances and physiology mainly, I would say. And then philosophy is like little of it, and psychology like somewhere in between. But with happiness, like obviously to define happiness and like especially eudaimonic stuff like purpose, meaning, it's something like definitely where philosophy kicks in. But I think the way how psychology kind of studies is more scientific. Although I have to say I haven't taken any philosophy classes.
I was about to ask if it's part of studying.
So I'm not really sure like how philosophy exists in academia in general, like what the kind of research looks like. But also like, okay, like cognitive science is something else. It's like kind of mix of everything I've mentioned before. And Stanford has a fancy name of calling it symbolic systems. But it basically, systems is like, computers, mind, human mind, they're like all kind of machines. That's also like where philosophy kicks in a lot, like dualism, functionalism is like human mind is also machine. If human mind is a machine, then like if computer is like, could computer be capable of whatever human being does? So yeah. So they're all together.
And what are the kind of possible applications of positive psychology?
I'm not sure how would people monetize that, because I think they'll be like really wrong if someone tries to sell like, I know the way how to make you happy. You have to pay like $100.
Then not necessarily monetize. Then how can people use the findings of the research to apply it to their lives then?
So yeah, I think it's like pretty much like positive psychology is something that is done by, I don't know, like mainly in academia, I would say. Maybe they would try to use it in marketing, because like obviously you want people to be happy with whatever they're purchasing from you. But I think like the researchers I know are studying this so they could share with the world and share the ways how people could be happy. Because I think so many things in the world trigger like negative things, and I think we just need more positivity in the world to keep going and have hope. So yeah. Oh, did it sound like really depressing?
Is this a newer area of psychology?
Yeah, I would say so, from what I know. And the research has been done, well, I've been looking at some papers, and I think like all of them are dated like maybe in 20-25 years. And there's like so many cool studies in that field that
What's
I really
your
like.
favorite?
Oh, I've taken like the class recently. It was Intro to Social Psychology, and fortunately, there was a guest lecturer on positive psychology, and he kind of shared with this interesting terminology called mental immune system, kind of psychological immune system, people call it otherwise. And as you would imagine, how immune system works is like when foreign thing body enters your like body, antigens get targeted by identified and targeted by monocytes.
Mm-hmm.
So like they could destroy it because it's foreign. You don't want virus or bacteria to be within your body. So like physical, so mental, psychological immune system does almost the same. It kind of tries to get back your natural like feelings or like state after emotional experiences. So for example, let's say you're going some like stressful time and obviously you don't want to be stuck in that and you have like this setting, the system kind of tries to get you back to the normal kind of flow of life. And the way how it was found is really interesting. Basically, like scientists were surveying people who haven't been through breakup, but yet who haven't been through breakup yet, but are in happy relationship, and they were asking like how long do you think breakup's gonna impact your life? And they did the same with people who have been through breakup, and surprisingly, people who haven't been through breakup yet, they tend to overestimate how long it's gonna last, like how long the impact's gonna last on them. And they did it with like so many things in so many settings, including in political psychology. Basically, people I think after 1 month of election results came out, so like there were like the people who were voting for one person who lost and who were voting for the another one who won, they were in the same kind of happiness level. So yeah, and that immune system is only affected or like triggered or works only when you know the causes of whatever is kind of triggering emotions. So for example, if you're going through a stressful time and it's been like, let's say years now, and you feel like still not okay, and you don't know the cause, then your immune system cannot do anything to it. And that essentially why therapy works. Any like form of therapy, be it like CBT or talking or just like even talking to your besties, like late night talks,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of going through whatever happened to you and trying to identify the cause is gonna like kind of start the mental immune system work, and you'll feel better. And they did exactly the same. I think one of the studies did is like you have to write an essay. I think it's like 3 pages long, into settings. Like write something, just take a pen, just wander around and write whatever comes to your mind. Like write as much as you can, leave, and then come back, reread it, and then do it again. And I think the findings are like so surprisingly like it was like the kind of whatever it was you're doing is kind of working and it was improving your mental well-being.
Mhm.
So yeah, feel free to use it.
You mentioned something interesting about us having natural settings of like mood. Does that mean people are born with like
Oh
different settings of happiness? I'm not sure if you know anything about that.
no, I'm not so sure. And like obviously there's like no natural state, I'd say. Like being happy and angry are like natural, I would say. I'm not sure like there's like the evolution, like psychology, like evolution is everywhere, including biology and psychology. So like people try to come up with like definitions why you feel like why, for example, anger is there. Like what's a benefit you would give like from evolutionary perspective, or like why people evolved in a way they did from psychological perspective, as you would imagine like they do with biology. But so like there's no kind of natural state. Every emotion is natural to some extent. But interestingly, also like I bet that's something what like developmental psychology study. Dev psych is interesting because like it's a study of kids, and I would never thought that I would be interested in like studying how kids' brain operates and stuff. Well, I guess you kind of covered also in A-level psychology, like
Mhm.
theory of mind.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I was doing A-level psychology, I was like, that's interesting, but like interesting just to kind of read it and put it back, where it came from. But and then I've taken some classes and they were not like intro to development psychology. They were like just, clinical, like social psychology. I've taken class in cognitive psychology, which is called like machines and mind.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like really huge part of the class, like some part of the class was based on how children like age and how their brain develops and like this just psychology of them. And it's like so interesting. Like I think like I wish every parent would have some background in development psychology before, having a kid. Because I think it's like so I feel like that's something that's gonna like change the lives of so many people, especially in the countries where psychology is not that often, a thing, where like it's not advertised or shown properly. Whereas science, where like pop psychology is the only thing that exists.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say Almaty is one of the places where psychology is like so misunderstood by people, and I wish it was different. And I think so many parents just need to know some basic stuff. And it is crazy how like theory of mind. So like there have been studies. I think they showed that until the age of 3, you don't have a theory of mind. Theory of mind is basically so like I have my own mind and you have your own mind, and like they may not overlap. So like for example, I might love crackers and you might love broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay. And I think kids, well, not think kids don't have that kind of ability.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if a kid loves cracker, which is probably more possible than loving broccoli,
Mm-hmm.
they would like when you say like offer me one of the two options out of cracker and broccoli, they would offer you cracker,
Mm-hmm.
even though you might love broccoli. So like it was studied before, I think, with the dolls. I'm not sure exact the study, but I think it's called like literally just doll study, where they have a doll. I think they hide it in one place where the kid and some stranger is there, and then they're gonna shift and the stranger's gonna leave, and then they're gonna do something to the doll. Like I think either shift their place or I think like their clothing. I'm not sure what
Mhm.
exactly, but they do something, and then the stranger's gonna come in, and then they're gonna ask the kid like, okay, if you're gonna ask the stranger right now like where the doll is or like what color he's wearing, like the clothes, they would say whatever the stranger didn't witness, but they know that they've seen it, so they're gonna be like, oh, stranger must also know that. So I think first they thought it's gonna be like not developed until 3, and then scientists, I think at Berkeley, they did further study, and then they found that there's something that also develops within the months of 13 and 18. Exactly the broccoli and cracker study thing. Called, like, I think it was goldfish, which is I think a cracker. I don't know, whatever. So yeah, so like preferences develop within that timeline,
Mhm.
and it's just so interesting. Like that's like small portion of development psychology, and there's like way more cool stuff like I don't know, picking up words, speaking, like applying statistical probabilities of like how kids learn languages. For example, like when I speak, we don't actually take pauses whenever word ends. So like if you're gonna record yourself on I don't know like microphone and then hear it back, you see that like whenever like the ups and downs like on your voice, whenever there's like the down, it's not actually the end of the word. It's like within a word. And the kids pick up it by the way of applying statistical like probabilities. So like basically like C is gonna follow bay, and like so basically like like they're gonna be matching probabilities, and like it is less possible that word cat is gonna follow Lee of basically. So they're gonna understand that basically is one word and cat is another word.
Wow, that's
Meanwhile,
really interesting.
bay C like is gonna come always together. So like
Mhm.
that's why it's one word. So yeah, it's like so interesting because like you don't really expect kids to be smart or doing anything because you think like they're just existing, especially like in their like before the age of 1, I guess. But actually, they're like doing so much, and
Yeah, because you don't realize how much
exactly,
you're
Mhm.
actually thinking as a kid. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about when you said in Kazakhstan psychology is really misunderstood. What do you mean by that?
I think so. Definitely, it's. I'm not sure the history of it or like why it is the way it is because I haven't done any research, and I don't want to be like giving any guesses. But I think like it has to do with definitely financial resources and also like probably the way how our like elderly were kind of taught when they're young. So like they just kind of vicious cycle just keeps going and going. And I think just kind of misunderstood in a sense, like psychology is something like, I know like when I was interested in psychology, when I was in high school, like people would be like, oh my God, but psychology is like so just made up. It just really doesn't exist. I guess it's like something that most of the A-level psych students goes through. Have you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
For
experienced?
me as well, within my family, a lot of people believe it to be pseudoscience.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of referred to as a pseudoscience, but in your personal opinion, do you think it should be held to the same standard as something like biology or physics?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, well, obviously there is like historical reasons why it's like pseudoscience too, right? Because like people were, I don't know, kind of mapping the scalp sizes and be like, huh, your scalp is like bigger from there. Like you must be like, I don't know, less critical or whatever. There is a whole terminology or like kind of the way how they cure people before, or like holding hostages, and like I don't know, it's just so many crazy things happened before it became like kind of proper science.
But to be fair, I feel like it's the same with physics or biology or chemistry, right?
I'm
I
not
think,
so sure. Okay,
I mean, in the beginning, probably, don't you think? We
maybe.
were also doing strange things.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
maybe
like
psychology is just earlier in the development.
right.
But the way we apply it now is through the scientific
For
like,
sure.
methodology. So I think at this
Yeah.
point we
So
can.
it's like I don't think people, well, at least if they're a bit aware of the like the psychology as a field, I don't think it's fair to say it's like pseudoscience. And I really wish that these people could just get more educated or develop like further understanding of psychology is and how it impacts the people, and us, and like the marketing especially, because like it's not only the people who are, I don't know, in a field where they work with kids or in a kind of clinical psychology field, or I don't know, where like whatever comes to your mind when you hear psychology, but also like it's marketing, right? Because like I don't know, like Coca-Cola does insane things with psychology, and I think just people should be aware of like whatever this big, well, like just how the world is built.
Do you think it should be mandatory in schools to study psychology?
I'm not sure if it should be mandatory in school, but like, probably in college, I would really encourage anyone to like kind of take any class in psychology. That's what I do like at Stanford. Like I feel like, hey, you should like really try out this class. I've taken it and it's like so lovely. You're gonna love it.
Spreading the psychology agenda.
Yeah. So like it's definitely something I really enjoy and I wish people would definitely learn more about and apply in their, kind of everyday life. So yeah.
What is psychology at Stanford like?
Ooh. So actually it's interesting because like when I was choosing universities, like I was just randomly one day decided to like kind of search up what's a ranking by departments. And obviously Stanford is well known for its like CS department. Because I think CS, I don't know, like I think CS is like popular everywhere, but especially at Stanford because just everyone does CS.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, especially like during NSO, like once you're gonna be in college, you're gonna experience like orientation, and orientation is a like really exhausting time that everyone should go through. It's basically like you're meeting so many new people, and all what you're gonna be asking is like, hey, like, what's your name? Like maybe what's your
major?
pronouns? And then one of the questions is gonna be like, what's your major? And like at Stanford, you don't have to like even ask the question because like, you're gonna be like, are you studying CS? And you're gonna be like, yes, maybe like 80% of the time. And yeah, so like there's also like so many people who kind of hate CS, and we were like, I was part of the kind of group, well, not part of the group, but like my besties were like, we're not gonna study CS, we're not gonna take any single class in 4 years, and like probably half of us like now doing something CS related, including me. Well, I was not so kind of into CS before I realized what CS really is and how it could be combined with so many things, including psychology and biology.
Mhm.
So now I'm kind of shifting also to CS, and hopefully I'm gonna also major in CS if I'm gonna have enough time.
For me, I've also always been a CS hater.
Oh,
If you had to convince me, I love psychology, I love biology.
Right.
Convince me to also start liking computer science.
well, I don't think I have to convince you because I think like at some point you're gonna get exposed to CS and be like, you know what,
Mm.
I'm gonna take more CS
It's
classes.
inescapable.
But yeah, but CS is like, it's just computational stuff. I think it's like really useful in, kind of in our current world where everything is like so tech heavy. And I think kind of it gives you tools to like study whatever you're studying. And I think especially with brain, like I know like there's so many computational stuff involved. And I think just learning CS and having some background is going to give you a better idea of, of studying whatever you want to study in academia. One of the examples, for example, is there's a coding language R, and it's basically kind of really simple. Well, I'm not sure if it's simple. Well, it could be heavy, but it's designed also like kind of simplified. And lots of psychologists use it to like analyze data, build figures, and it's like really, really nice because like we're talking about like spreadsheets is like full of data and like there's like millions of numbers, and obviously like, it'd be so hard to manually go through it. And I know like Excel, like you could maybe like, I don't know, use some formulas and stuff, but it's like still so hard. And why would anyone kind of do that if there's like, coding skills for that? So like, yeah, for sure, I would recommend like taking some CS classes at some point in your life.
Did you take computer science for A levels?
No, I haven't actually.
No?
I was taking a lot of A levels, so I wish I did. I actually wish like just everywhere that I've done more. But I don't think I could have done. And I think definitely I wouldn't handle like 6 A levels.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with the choice I've made back at high school. And
Which
with
did you pick?
I did. Okay, so obviously, psychology and biology, and math and further maths, because I was coming from math background, and I just didn't want to like kind of dishonor. And especially like my previous high school teachers. Well, I guess in that case, I was in middle kind of schoolish. My teachers are like pouring so much effort into, I don't know, math and physics and stuff. And I did chemistry Olympiad before, and then it kind of was, given the choice of like choosing like literally 3-4 subjects, and it was like, wow, like how am I gonna do that? And then it was like kind of, shortlisting, and I ended up doing psych and bio, psych instead of chem because they were in the same block. And yeah, and then same was math and for the maths, and I couldn't take more classes, including physics or computer science. But it's kind of really cool that like schools, our school and many other schools in Kazakhstan offers like CS, and I'm happy to see like how more and more schools are offering like psychology in their curriculum, like AP, A level. Yeah, it's just so wonderful.
How has A levels prepared you for university at Stanford?
Ooh, obviously like some kind of material is gonna build up from wherever you left from, high school. So kind of, well, I think psychology is one of the fewer subjects where like you could start with heavy classes. Well, probably you could like skip intro to psych, but at Stanford you couldn't, so you have to just take it. So like you start where everyone else kind of starts, which is also nice because like making sure that everyone has the same background before like moving in like forward. So like psychology, A-level psychology is like really, really beneficial in a sense. Like I knew like all the research methods and stuff, and I knew like so many cool studies in depths. Like I sort of got like you're never gonna be given any studies or papers to like study in depths the way you do with A-level psychology. Because like I remember like sometimes I'm gonna be like waking up in the middle of the night and be like, Parrot Alex, what kind of brains he had access to? And that's not even like the part of the study. Like I know that paper mentions he had access to like gym from like during the daytime, whatever, I don't know, like, or like cage was open during daytime and he had like access to these grains. Yeah.
I remember after the psychology exam, I had that period where I look and I see 30 and I'm like, oh, that's the number of participants in Ventura Tal. Everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you miss it? Do you wish you did that in university or?
I think it's like really interesting, but also like kind of, I don't really know like what's beneficial of like learning how many participants were there in exact study. But now like probably having some estimation is enough. Like for example, if you're doing case study, like one, it's okay because it's just literally what case study is, right? But like with the animal stuff, like obviously there's like some ethical questions and stuff. So like depending on your question, like you'll be able to identify how many numbers of participants you need depending on your research methods. And I think A-level psychology does like really good job with that because now you know like specific numbers. So like if you're surveying people for like, I don't know, for something through phone, like you know approximately how many you should probably do. But I don't think it is necessary to know the exact number. Um,
Yeah, exact dates, time.
exact dates, time, city, where they collected the participants, or like what grains some kind of parrot had access to. But A-level psychology does a really good job with just preparing for whatever college is going to offer. Anything. For me personally, it was way easier to get involved in research just because I had some background in research methods from high school. So I joined the lab, and it was been like really, really helpful. Meanwhile, with the other levels, well, I haven't taken any math classes yet, so I cannot tell if it's gonna be helpful or not. But I know like I get some credits, so I don't have to like start from the bottom of the maths, although you could, which is like really useful because like I don't know, for some reason I thought like college is like time when you should be like you're gonna come into the campus and you know exactly what you want to do, and you should have like some like, for example, and because of that I thought you're expected to know like some stuff beforehand. So like, for example, if you're psych knowledge or like bio, you should be able to like know like basics of biology, except you don't really have to. And I really love the flexibility that US colleges at least gets, to offer. And also it kind of takes it down the stress because like, for example, it gives you freedom, like take more classes. Like I could take philosophy, and if I'm gonna like it, like I could start philosophy, still major in if I'm gonna have time. Um, and probably resources, but like there's a like all the you don't have to like, you're not going to be jumping into somewhere that's so unknown. There's like build up kind of map for you
Mhm.
to start. So yeah, but psychology was really helpful, same as biology. Yeah.
And so, what kind of mode of studying do you prefer? Do you find it easier, or do you find it more fitting to you in university rather than high school doing A levels? Like, do you prefer the individuality you get in university?
um I think A level is like, just curriculum is like so like, when I came to Haileybury, like it was kind of totally different from high school I went to beforehand. And I felt like I had like the kind of freedom because like, you're given the resources and then like lecture or like the slides, class slides. So you have to like learn stuff, prepare for your exams yourself. Um, and I think college is kind of really similar to that. You're gonna be going to your, I don't know, lectures, except it's way more dense. It's like an hour of lecture, like professors like, I don't know, sometimes they're gonna have like 150 slides and all of them is like so packed. Um, and then you're gonna have like some time session where like they basically combine a couple of lectures together, and then it's kind of mini lecture, just going through quickly and like telling you the things you should be taking out of the lectures. And then you have like problem sets, homework, essays. So yeah, it's kind of, I would say, a level curriculum, but like even more intense. Um,
Do you still have time for like hobbies and everything?
College is literally a place for everyone and anyone. So you could make it like literally only classes, back-to-back classes, and I know some of my friends do that, and they're like completely fine and happy with that. Meanwhile, I have like friends who are like, I don't know, like doing not so heavy in terms of like number of units you have to finish within 4 years, major. They take the classes they have to, and they also like take some fun classes that Stanford has to offer, like, I don't know, improv. I think there's like also one like making furry costumes. Um, yeah, and then like dancing, like sports club classes, social dance, I think one of the popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like people who do that, and they're really happy with that. So,
Mm-hmm. Which way did you decide to go?
um, I would say I'm somewhere in between. I really realize like I'm like so fortunate, kind of be on campus and have this incredible faculty, and all the people, professors, TAs around, PhD students, and like people around me that are like so involved and so interested in the areas they're involved with. So when I kind of maximize the amount of learning I can take out of it, because I know that my time is there limited, so I want to take as much class as I can.
What's
So
the
yeah.
most unique class you've taken? You mentioned like furry costumes. What's, in your personal experience, the most interesting one?
I've taken this. Okay, actually, I really cannot like choose one because Stanford has like a lot of things to offer. I've taken class like that's titled secrecy. It was all about secrets and like psychology of secrecy, philosophy of secrecy. We even like kind of gone through like FBI. I think it was FBI. I don't know, like some kind of agency checkout point, and it's like a huge document, and we're like given some parts of it to study. And like, so I know like what kind of things you should probably know or be ready for if you want to become FBI. I don't know, some kind of agent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can, but whatever. I know that knowledge now. And I've taken class on psychosis. It's called like the class is titled like I thought I heard my name. Destigmatizing psychosis is like wonderful. Um, a level psychology is like really helpful with that because like it has a part in schizophrenia, so like psychosis. Yeah, so like I had background knowledge for that, which really is really cool. And then, but probably my favorite is it's something in an area that I really wanted to kind of get experience with, but in high school like didn't have the opportunity to. Um, it was arts. So like before, I think it was like I don't know. So in grades between 6 to 7, I changed schools, and I moved to like school with an emphasis on physics and math. Before that, I was a huge fan of origami, and I loved it. Like I would do it like all the time after school, and suddenly now I'm like in a kind of heavy environment, and I have like so much homework in math and physics, and I didn't have time for origami. And that's the last time when I did something artsy. And then I was going through like the course catalog, and my friend was like, "Wow, there's this class, and it's like with a New York City trip." And then I messaged my advisor, undergrad advisor, and was like, "Hey, like I've heard that there's a class. I cannot really find the name of it, like what's the application process looks like." And then she's like, "Hey, the class is like this. Just look it up. It sounds like really fun." And I did apply, and I did get the spot. Um, and we really didn't know like what the class is gonna be about. Like they did mention that we're gonna do something arts involved. Like not really sure what kind of art.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up doing sculpture out of wood. And then it was like so nice because like we did that in the first half, and then we did like some history of the art in New York City. And it was like tailored more like towards the places we're gonna visit in New York City. And the class is like funded. The trip is in the class like funded by the Arts Institute, Stanford, and it was like really generous alumni.
Mm-hmm.
And the so like we went to New York City over the spring break for like I think 5 6 days. And we did all of the things like completely free, like museums, musicals, like studio visits, gallery visits. Like I don't know, like the amount of galleries they visited is like insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, and then you're gonna be talking to like alumni who are like involved um in the art scene of New York City, and just like kind of get to know the whole history. So like you kind of study the history beforehand, and then you arrive physically to the place and be like, now I know the background, and now I know how it is like to be physically there.
Mm-hmm.
So probably that was my favorite class I've taken. It was a really kind of intimate setting. I became so close to the people I've taken class with my professor. And interestingly, like I never thought I would, but I got also some kind of award for like, I think for my sculpture.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like it was fun, definitely. And if you're sitting in Stanford, I would really recommend checking out Ars Inst the 11Q. I think that's a course title. And you should probably apply for Stanford, like to Stanford, just take that class.
So I want to take it back to Kazakhstan. Here, there's like a lot of misconceptions and stigma against psychology, where people often kind of see mental health issues as a weakness or just avoid psychologists altogether. Why do you think this is?
Oh, that's like a really tough question. I would say maybe like it's because of, again, like people are not aware of the like what is psychology, or like what are mental illnesses and what is the best way of kind of dealing with them. And I think people just try to avoid it, like kind of, don't face the reality, be like, like I think it's easier to accept that someone has some kind of mental issue than kind of reject it and be like, it's like totally not something that exists, or like something people made up with, or like something that's like you're just feeling, sad. It's gonna go through. Like it's just life. Like I don't know. And I think it's just part of the culture where people kind of normalize certain things that shouldn't be normalized. And combination of those, the way how people see them and also how they, but also we couldn't really blame people who are like, for example, we couldn't blame our, like, I don't know, elder people or the generation of my parents, for example, for like, kind of neglecting psychology or like mental illnesses and treating, for example, if they have kids or like anyone loved ones who are going through like tough times or like mental illnesses and like kind of neglect that. We really couldn't blame them neither because like that's the way how they were taught, and maybe they didn't have the opportunity to kind of face the reality or like go to correct it. So yeah. And what do you think about that?
I think in Kazakhstan there's like a lot of man culture where men have to pose as this kind of strong and independent figure, where they just see mental health issue as just a, I can go through it on my own,
Right.
and I can just attack this as a, running into a brick wall, and
Right.
I think it's just that culture that kind of perpetuates the cycle that you mentioned. But I think your opinion is very good.
Your opinion is also like really interesting because like I remember when I was going, again, it was part of the social psychology, and we had like lecture on aggression. And I think the way how many parents kind of nurture their kids is like through aggression sometimes, or like kind of negative punishment or positive punishment, any kind of punishment, or like, for example, if you're doing something wrong, you're gonna be like, you're grounded, so you're like taking ability of like people, like your kid's ability to like hang out or like play on an iPad, or like sometimes like literally just physical aggression too. And like one thing that I learned from the lecture is like literally there's a statistics about how each Celsius degree the planet gets hotter, the aggression rate also increases for a certain extent. And like how the weather also just makes people aggressive. It's kind of interesting because like I know that there is like some sayings and in just kind of cultures around the world, like something about if you're hot, like you're aggressive, or like even the color like red, for example, like associated with both heat and also like aggression. But I didn't know that it is like scientific just evidence based for that. And also like there's so many things, like for example segregation. I think pretty much like Almaty is also kind of segregated. And then the greenery, like more green there is, less aggressive the neighborhood is. And I think some of the like with the recent changes already, like I'm gonna be passing by some streets and be like, oh my god, like there's used to be like park, like where did it go? And it's like just concrete jungle. And not in the same way as New York City, because like I love New York City, by the way, but New York City is like interesting because like I don't know, it's kind of different vibes. And I think like there are like some parks. Well, definitely New York City is probably more concrete than here.
Yeah.
But sometimes like the streets of Almaty is like just not it. Where like you feel like I don't know, like I would not enjoy living here, like physically here. So like I think aggression is part of the big reason for that. Like just aggression is not a nice thing in the world.
And so well, I'm studying psychology, right? And my class is mainly composed of girls. And you mentioned before to me that it also was the same for you, right?
Right.
If you had to kind of convince more males to get into the field of psychology, how would you do it?
I'll probably highlight the fact that like corporation circles also like I don't know marketing. Well, I don't know marketing is a big part of the corporation, right? Like I'm not sure if it's true or not. Like with the recent changes to Apple, like with the iPhone 17 coming out, there was like one TikTok that popped up on my furry page and was saying like how there's a whole team on designing like the boxes of the phone and like why you want to keep them up, like just keep them with you. And I think the statistics are like 87% of the people just keep the boxes of iPhone, and it's because it's designed to be kept, and they designed the feeling of luxury and like so like the whole like so like what I'm saying is the corporate world just spins around psychology. If it's not something just to make the world better, psychology is also used kind of not to make the world better. But I don't know, everything is just like, kind of bad and good ways. But like I'm not sure why, but I think just anywhere here in the US, in Europe, people are like especially I don't know, men identifying individuals, I think are really much into like, I don't know, big tech or like fintech. Definitely that's a culture of Stanford, and I think there's like way more ways of kind of getting into that industry um through like psychology too. It's like marketing, PR, HR. So like if you just enjoy that, like you could, I can see like men just being more also like present and not just be female dominated field, I think. But in academia, I would say like, I don't know, at least I'm not sure if Stanford generalizable or not, but using psychology terminology. But in Stanford, there is like, I think it's, yeah, pretty much equal, I would say, in academia at least, like there are, you know, all sorts of people. And I just think we just need more male representation also in just in the field or like in A-level psychology in our school, for example, just like just show the possibility of people to people that, you know, you could take A-level psychology. It is not going to look like bad or like, I think people think that psychology is like easy thing and like people do that just because they don't want to work hard, but in reality it's like super hard as any other subject. So yeah, so maybe like kind of just correct misunderstandings and I don't know, show people that you could also do psychology in high school at Haileybury. So yeah. So why are you guys studying A-level psychology then?
I took it because, you know, I've always been drawn to psychology and I plan to do it in university. And I thought psychology is just so interesting because it's something that everyone goes through, you know, like as you said before, it's just the uniqueness of
Right.
it and how everyone lives their own lives. Everyone has their own kind of their own psyche. And yeah, it just really, I was just really drawn to it.
What's your favorite area of psychology?
My favorite area probably has to be clinical, as you know, you can understand what makes someone go through such harmful things like schizophrenia. You can kind of understand what causes that and understand the treatments of
Right.
it, you know? So you can kind of, and even just by educating yourself on it, you're already making the world a better place for those
Exactly.
who are like not as mentally well.
For sure. Yeah. That's wonderful. What about you?
So for me, you guys are not going to be happy, but I kind of picked it as a filler subject.
Oh my God. Jail.
I mean, I did hear from a lot of the year 13s that Mr. Lawrence, the teacher, is going to make me fall in love with psychology. And that's definitely true. My mom studied psychology. She's really into that. So a lot of people were telling me I should study psychology. So I did. And I think that was a great decision. I feel with psychology, it's a lot of application to life. Like, I feel like even with the case studies that are like really in depth and very specific, still I feel they're like, oh, so this is why this is
Even
happening.
the little hands one?
Even which one?
Little hands? Oh, you guys didn't cover it?
Yeah,
No.
I think
I
the
know.
syllabus has changed.
Oh, that's
yeah,
maybe a
right.
good change. Little hands is a case study by Freud.
Ah,
It's
okay.
it's a funny and dark one.
But yeah, I definitely fell in love with psychology through the course.
Yeah, Mr. Lawrence is indeed great. I
Mhm.
miss his classes a lot. Yeah.
You know, going back to like the kind of students that take psychology, a lot of people kind of criticize me taking psychology in A level and both university as kind of, you know, unemployment kind of thing, right? Because they think psychology doesn't really have many job opportunities and kind of it's a very limited area. What would you say to that?
I think so. Like for me personally, choosing psychology is not really hard. It's just something that just calls me, and I just love learning more about it. And I could spend hours just like learning some interesting stuff because inherently it's about us, right? So like, it's a way how your mind operates, about our feelings, emotions, about our loved ones, about our interactions, and how society is built. So you know, not necessarily my advice would be like probably do not chase money. Chase something that your heart desires. Because like I'm not so sure how it's true because I haven't been in that, you know, kind of shoes yet. But like people say psychology is like so universal in whatever you end up doing. You could go into education. You could like literally just become psychology teacher if you want to. I can't imagine myself like teaching A-level psychology, and I
Mhm.
love my job. You could also like literally be in the education field as like, I don't know, be kind of, how education is taught, interaction with kids. You can become a clinical psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist. I don't know. That's where I guess make the most of the money out of psychology is made. Um, and then yeah, so like I think psychology is like so universal. And then I said before, like you could also go to industry,
Yeah.
PR, marketing, HR.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's like really fun. And as far as you're enjoying it, I think just stick to it. Because I think following passion is one thing and chasing money is another thing. And I think it's always easy to kind of pivot back in life.
Yeah.
I think it's really wrong to like kind of, sometimes I think people are kind of feel the pressure of like choosing one, but you don't really have to make choices like, choices right now. Just enjoy the present as it is, see what the world has to offer to you, what psychology has to give you. And then maybe one day, it also depends on your values, right? So like, what do you want in your life to be? Like, what you want to get out of life? For me, just like kind of learn more about psychology, so it could maybe improve the lives of people around me better. Like,
Mhm.
just improve lives. Um, and that necessarily doesn't include money, but I think if you're following your dream passion, it's always easy. Probably, just the
Mhm.
money is gonna be there, I think.
Yeah. And a lot of people say like to actually get a job with a psychology bachelor's, you have to also have a master's that specializes in that industry. Do you
Oh.
think that's true?
I don't know. I'm just a rising sophomore, so I have like 3 more years to figure that out.
Hmm.
But I think, well, I thought originally I'm gonna go to like academia because that's literally what I enjoy the most about psychology is like just studying more. So I want to get some kind of PhD later on. Not sure in what exactly area. Might be like computational more. Because I think computational is just great addition. And but yeah, maybe I'm not so sure is my answer.
On the complete opposite end of the spectrum about what you're talking, I've noticed a trend recently that a lot of people on TikTok are like watching online videos or just courses and believe that they can become a psychologist. What do you think about that?
I think so. It's definitely false because like psychology isn't something you learn just sitting in your, I don't know, couch and be like, like let me watch one of these videos on YouTube and be like, now I know how brain operates. I know like the way how you think. Or people I don't know, people think sometimes I'm gonna be telling people that I like study psychology and they're gonna be like, oh my God, like talk to me 5 minutes and tell what's my problem. Honey, that doesn't work like that. But it's definitely like interesting how people assume like what psychology is just is in general. And it's definitely wrong that psychology could be like, I think even if you're gonna dedicate your whole life into like learning psychology, even one area like specific, like let's say clinical psychology, there's gonna be always more and more to learn. The way how DSM-5 works, like not so nice, but I'm not sure how to improve it neither. So like there's so many improvements could be done. The criteria for diagnosis are not clear neither. We're not so sure, like for example, what are the exact biological mechanisms of mental disorders are. As you could probably see from A-level psychology, I think you're gonna cover soon, but like lots of stuff around like the biological stuff is gonna be either serotonin or dopamine, at least in A-level psychology. So you're gonna be thinking like, so like, okay, so we see the problem in dopamine, like dopamine deficiency, but like it's gonna cause A and B and C, but like in that specific case, it causes only A. So like, why is that? So like, I think psychology is something you could dedicate your whole life, but not kind of master it. I think that's any science, right? Because like there's always more to uncover. And I think it's really dangerous because like sometimes people, especially when I was in my previous school, people would be like, you know what, let me look up the symptoms of like whatever, like depression, and they're gonna be like, like I have to meet this criteria, and it's kind of similar to DSM-5. Not sure if they exactly match each other, but then they're gonna be like, I'm feeling this and this and this. Like does it mean like, and they're gonna self-diagnose that they're depressed.
Yeah, on TikTok as well, you often see that
Oh,
people
right.
like diagnosing themselves
Yeah.
ADHD, DID. It's also very popular.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of dangerous because like mindset is really important too. And I think sometimes people could like not feel like not meet the criteria to be diagnosed with depression. but because, kind of confirmation bias is going to kick in, and they're going to be looking for signs in their life, and then they're going to like convince themselves that they have depression. And not sure if it's been studied in that kind of setting, but mindset does play a huge role. Incredible faculty at Stanford, Carol Dweck. She she's a person who coined the terminology like growth mindset, fixed mindset. And like from her lecture, I know that mindset plays a huge role in everything, including in like physical treatments. For example, there was a cool study on, I think, peanut allergy. Like there's a treatment, basically how treatment works is you're exposing people with peanut allergy to peanuts, like small doses by dosage. So
That's
like,
evil.
well, look, but that's a treatment. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's practice or not, but like basically you're gonna give like small peanut and then you're gonna increase dosage
Like
until they're
exposure therapy.
kind of exposure
Yeah.
therapy, kind of, yeah, but it's physical. And then basically the independent variable was the way how you would tell the people getting treatment like this. Well, obviously if you're like peanut allergy and you're getting peanuts, like you're gonna have like your side effects of the treatment. And in one condition they were told that whatever you're gonna experience is just side effects and you have to deal with it. And the second one is the side effects are actually signs that the treatment's working. And in the study, like the results were incredible, and the like literally just treatment worked way better with the people on the second condition where side effects were the signs that treatment is working compared to like it's just side effects.
What was the treatment in this case? Getting over the peanut allergy?
Yeah. So like I think that's how they measured it. So like just incredible. Like the mindset is like one thing that people I don't think really take into consideration. But mindset, like for example, and then they did like a bunch of studies like cancer and stuff. Like obviously mindset is really important there too. So like, and the thing was, self-diagnosing, I think it could be harmful in a sense, like you're changing your mindset and then you're like, like I don't know, like, it's gonna just worsen your situation. And that reminds me of like, the debate of nature versus nurture. Like it reminds me of like, for example, people sometimes, well, we know like from A-level psychology that schizophrenia has genetic base, although it's both combination of genetics and nurture, the environment, but it has genetic base. And I think like that's really dangerous, the whole genetic stuff. Sometimes people are gonna be like, sometimes, for example, let's say it's in your family tree, like some kind of disorder that has genetic base, like schizophrenia, and then you, just because of the mindset, might just be more, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's like studied. There should be like some studies on that, but what I'm saying is educated guess, but any guess is guess, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think self-diagnosis and whole genetic nature or like fixed mindset, like mindset that something is out of your control is so harmful. And I think you should always have growth mindset, meaning like you can do this. People are not born with it. People are, became the people they want to become. Yeah.
What do you think makes people prefer to self-diagnose rather than actually see a professional?
I think sometimes it's just everything. Like maybe here it's financial resources, because I think kind of seeking official like professional help is really dangerous. And I think it's kind of also kind of dangerous in the sense like I know like some people are scared, just like come out and be like, hey mom, dad, I might have like some symptoms of depression, can I like go see a psychiatrist and like see if it's like serious, or like you might just thinking that there is symptoms, but in reality you might not have meet criteria of DSM-5. And then I think just the internal fear or how it's going to be accepted by society, and on top of that is also like I think the way how people get treatment is not, I've heard like bad things about it. I don't think it's like fully professional around the world, and it's definitely something that we should kind of try to make it better and change it. But also that reminds me of the fact that when I was taking the psychosis class that I mentioned before, there was interesting statistics about schizophrenia, just generally treatment in the US, and in I think it was I'm not sure about what country it was at. I think there was two countries. One of them is I think India, and then one of them is Ghana. I think I don't know. Um, but it's basically not a Western country. And the way how people like, so like the culture affects so many things, including what kind of voice you hear. It's like in some cultures where God is more, dominant, like predominant in culture, or like spirituality, religion is, they hear like kind of, they think that they're hearing the voice from God, or like sometimes their relatives kind of guiding you, like, do this and do not do that. In the US, it's like just different. Yeah, so like culture plays a huge role, and I think one of the findings was that the treatment actually is better in third world countries, I think, for schizophrenia than in the US. Um, and that reminds me of like how culture should be like part of everything. And now it's like also cultural psychology, the one I mentioned before. It's area that's really new, but it's incredible. And mainly it's like West versus East, like individualism versus when you're together. And I think Central Asia is just not there yet. And I think we just need more presence in academia too, in the way how anything else is kind of getting treated. Because, if culture is important, then it means that if person is like having some depressive episodes, you should be like able to treat that person in a setting that they exist and not by the Western standards. Because, definitely psychology is different. People are different. Their life experience is way different. Their values are also different. So like, yeah. So it should not be only like, we should make psychology in the third world countries better. We should make it more also kind of adjusted to their own cultures.
Going back to TikTok, there was a video that I saw. How are you a psychology student and depressed? Just read your own notes. Do you feel like you studying psychology made you like overanalyze your own actions, thoughts, behaviors?
I don't know. I don't really like usually sit being like, I'm doing this. Is it because I think it just basically makes you aware of the things you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just made me, for me, like I think it definitely made me like better person. For example, like the fundamental attribution error, I think it was developed by Ross. I think he was also a former professor at Stanford. It's basically how, like, for example, attribution, like attributing, for example, something happens, like you're cutting in line, and I think, you're a bad person. But if I'm the one who's cutting in line, like I'm gonna be like, I'm in a rush. So like, we're attributing different things, like situational versus your own, kind of characteristics into like the behavior. So for example, when someone does to me, like for example, I'm in a line, someone cuts in, I'd be like, you know what, maybe they're not a bad person after all. Maybe like they're in a rush. So like kind of come with an understanding. And now I know like we're just inherently do that because it's fundamental attribution error. That's everyone who like just because we're human beings make us kind of do like thing in this kind of the same setting. So like, yeah, so I kind of try to break the cycle and be like more understandable and understanding.
Now that you've thoroughly convinced me to study psychology, what kind of online resources would you recommend to somebody interested in studying this field?
Oh, one of my favorite professors are Dr. Robert Sapolsky and Dr. Humerman. They're both the faculty at Stanford, which is interesting. But Sapolsky has a couple of books that are really nice and so interesting to read. I don't remember the exact names, but it's I think Why Zebras Have Stripes or something. It's a really interesting book, so I definitely like kind of recommend anyone to check out. And then Dr. Huberman has podcast series both in Spotify and on YouTube. And he kind of has like guests coming up, and then they're gonna be talking, dissecting like so many interesting topics with the best people in that field. It's like more kind of neuroscience, but I really recommend, also kind of checking out that podcast series. And one of my favorite one is podcast by Dr. Huberman with Dr. Sapolsky. About, I think it was about hormones, testosterone, and it was just incredible. So definitely check it out. It's definitely worth your time. It isn't that long, except it's in English, so yeah.
And what about if you are recommending to a year 12 student right now, which A levels would you ask them to pick?
Honestly, like as far as you're gonna be happy with anything, just go for it. But probably bio and psych, and then chemistry if you can take chemistry together with psych. And then math or CS. I think all of this A levels could be, I can see like being beneficial when you're pursuing like later on bachelor's or master's or PhD in psychology.
Mhm.
But also make sure that you're going to be having fun outside of class, because psychology is all about, unexpected things around the world. So maybe while doing something, pastime is going to be, something that's going to spark your interest in a specific field. So psychology studies like some insane things you don't really expect, people studying. For example, in one of my labs I've joined, my mentor studies like regret. And I'm not sure like what specifically made them to study regret, but like just studying regret is like something is interesting.
Mhm.
So you never know. So definitely, be a kid because you are, and enjoy the youth while you can before college and during college.
I want to quickly talk about how AI has impacted the field of psychology and how people are now kind of talking to AI and treating AI as a therapist.
Right.
And do you think this kind of strips away the necessary human interaction needed?
So like remember the positive psychology, like the human system
Mhm.
thing? I think talking to AI is like whatever it's doing is it's kind of making you to remember what happened to you and identify the causes. So kind of activating the immune system. So I kind of
Mhm.
see why it could be beneficial. And I know like there's so many startups like they're giving prompts and creating like kind of, AI, your personal, therapist kind of thing. Which is great, but also I think just having human interaction is also nice. And having, for me personally, like the one of the deepest talks is like with definitely with people. Well, also my cat that I have on my wallpaper. He's a great listener, and yeah, so also it could work just journaling. Talking to my cat is my journaling, by the way. So, but AI, there are people who are like so against it, and also there are people who are like obsessed with it. Um, and I think psychology could be, used with AI or against AI. But the way how AI was designed is kind of psychology is involved in that, and that's like literally what the cognitive science is. It's people, like literally. I'm not a big AI person. Um, I don't have like really big background on that, but just like literally the way how like the simplest things work is like they literally work exactly how neurons work. And they have like some funny name that I forget, but it has something I think neuron involved in it. But yeah. Um so like for example, so many people who are involved in cognitive science field or AI field, they know the basics of like how brain operates. And I think now it's kind of moved to study brain better to understand how to make people like the AI better.
Mhm.
Because technically, what they're doing is trying to answer the question that has probably cannot be answered is like, is AI or machine or like is could be like equal to a human brain. Um, I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But psychology is something also really unique, at least right now. And I think just having the human touch, and because it's science about human beings, like it's just incredible that human beings can do so many things with the tools they've created themselves to study themselves even more. One of my favorite studies, probably I would never come up with that, is like literally it's about two-factor theory of emotion. I know it's like I don't know how many studies I mentioned today, but this is like the best study, I swear to God. It's basically emotion is something is defined as like physiological change, that is followed by cognitive label. So, for example, like I see a bear and my heart is suddenly racing, and like I have the like I'm ready to run, like adrenaline is released from adrenaline glands, and then I label it that's fear because I see like literally a bear in front of me. But so it has like two components. It's like physiological changes, arousal, people call it, and then cognitive label. And one of the studies like literally just done by the bridge, independent variable being how bridge looked. Is it safe or unsafe / scary? Participants come in, or like just random stranger. I think they got stopped by a woman. And the woman is getting like questionnaire filled in. It's kind of really boring questionnaires. It's not part of the experiment. And then she's gonna hand card with a number, and she's like, "Call me if you have any questions." And participants in a scary bridge, called her at more rate than the normal bridge, because they thought that they were attracted to women because of the bridge being scary. So they kind of mislabeled it. So like that's like fun study, like, and there's so many cool studies, like so silly, so funny, but at the same time like so kind of academically intense. And that's one of the studies, one of my favorite ones. And I think sometimes AI cannot like do that. Not sure if people are trying or did it, but I think just since it's human study of humans, I think humans should be the one who are behind everything. And that's exactly why psychology should be studied even more, because we really need to understand how we operate, how we work, either alone or in societies.
So I'm sure many people watching will be curious as to how you got into Stanford. What were the steps you took to get there?
Just follow your passion, probably. I was not so sure about the college application, because the college application can be a lot, and it is a lot. And that's like literally past, like it took me so long to get there. And like when I arrived, I was like, you know what, like I've put so much effort into it. That was my worry for like last couple of years. And like, like if I'm not, it's like, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna get in anywhere, right? Because like it's hella hard. Any university in the world is hella hard. It's hella hard to get in. So it was like, you know what, just gonna be silly as who I am and just have fun at least. And I just was writing about things that was really interested to me. So like writing about like psychology of dating apps, Tinder, whatever, like dissecting it, and it was just so funny. And at the same time, that's something that like really fills my passion. So probably my biggest tip is gonna be just be yourself and do not try to be someone else, because why would you want to be someone else? Because you are unique as you are, and if there is literally someone who exists in the world and you want to be like their exact copy, like everyone else gonna want the first one, not the copy of it. So, there's no point of kind of trying to copy someone. So just be yourself, have fun with it, don't stress too much. And as I said before, definitely have fun while you can in high school. Because high school is one of the things that like I didn't experience only once. Maybe you could, I don't know. Although I haven't met anyone who has done high school twice, like fully, like, enrolled again. But I bet it's gonna be also like kind of really different. And I think just being surrounded by people you see every day, you talk to them, and getting support from teachers, and their kind of experience, interest academically, and I think just like lovely time of every human being. So definitely have fun with it, because getting to university one thing, but enjoying life is even bigger. And I think essentially what all of us should be doing is try to get the best not only out of high school nor university, but out of life. Because no one knows if we're going to be here tomorrow, but what you can do is you can be the person who you are and you want to become. And I don't think anything should be stopping you, and don't make your mindset be the one of the things that stops you, because that would be so unfortunate.
Okay, now that you completed your first year of Stanford, what is the expectation versus reality of studying there?
Oh, so I thought it's gonna be like, well, I knew it's gonna be hard, because I think anything in life is hard. Because I think it's also, if it's gonna be not hard, then life would probably become boring. But I didn't know that it's gonna be that hard. And probably I'm the part of the reason who's making it hard. But it's like it's really wonderful and so different from high school in many ways. First of all, it's like it's way bigger than high school. Definitely any high school here in Kazakhstan, but I guess in the United States could be as big as you can imagine. So it's like really, you kind of meet so many people, cool people around the world, that are so into the area they're in, the field they're involved in. And also I met one of the just like the weirdest people I've ever met, in a good way, of course. I have people who haven't really tried coffee, or who have watched like less than 10 movies. And I just like kind of think sometimes like how this kind of people exist in the same world as I'm existing. And I think I just have so many things I could learn from them. And I'm just so excited that I have like 3 more years to study and be around these people. Um, so yeah, it's definitely way harder than I expected. Second of all, it's really way cooler than I expected. But also, the professors are really sweet. And I think in high school is like really kind of professional, and university is like professional, but also like really kind of gets intimate to the point like, you get to know the people professor like almost in the same way as you get to know your peers. Like you get to know their life story, like why they're got into involved in the things they're involved, how they got there, where they are, and like they have like incredible advice. Like just they're gonna be sometimes like sharing the best advice you're ever gonna hear in your life and be like, wow, that's like so mature and so like helpful. Um, so yeah. And I think college is something that you make the experience. There is no like kind of, well, there is some guidance, but like it's not mapped for you. You're the one who is essentially like putting everything together, what class you're going to be taking, when you're going to be taking these classes, what clubs you're going to get involved with, what kind of people you're going to talk to, where you're going to study in your room, in the library with your friends. Um, and it's just way more like you feel the freedom and you can do whatever you want with the freedom. And I thought, well, I expected some kind of freedom, but I didn't expect it's going to be like that free, like just, I don't know. You feel like, I don't know, that everything is kind of depends on you. And certainly you feel that to some extent in high school, but in college it kind of gets way more serious. So that's why I'm recommending anyone who's like currently in high school and going through the process of applying to colleges, just like you, just like, enjoy the youth because it's really kind of different from college. And it's not kind of like as a, like mature white man, like with a, white hair. I'm not. I'm just, yeah, I'm just another teenager yet.
So I think to summarize what we've learned is psychology is anything you want it to be.
Period. And thank you so much for watching us.
Bye.
Bye.